السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا ما يهده الله فلا مضل له وما يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة. صدق الله العظيم. وقد قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كل مولود يولد على الفطرة أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. My dear respected elders and brothers, mothers and sisters, it is a pleasure for me to be here. As many times we have tried and attempted to have a program here, and because of some reasons, maybe because of my busyness or the dates were a little bit off, so we weren't able to do it. But bifadlillahi ta'ala, alhamdulillah, we were able to have the program today, and a very special program, an important program. I thank the brothers of the masjid for thinking of this program. Many a time, like it was mentioned, the intentions are just a bayan and enjoyment, or what we'll call it, exercise of the ears. Just to hear something and wah-wah, what a nice talk, and that Shaykh can really recall the ahadith and the ayat of Quran very beautifully, and nice stories. And these are important too, because bayan is one of the more common ways that we disseminate this Quran and this message of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allamahul bayan. Allah Ta'ala, right in the beginning of Surah Rahman, mentions that Allah Ta'ala has taught us the bayan. This is one of the khususiyat and the specialities of insan, that he's able to express himself and clarify what's in his mind. Animals cannot do that. The parakeet talks, but he just mimics whatever he has memorized, and he repeats that, but he can't really speak what's in his heart. Animals can't do it also. Only insan can do it. So this bayan is a very great way to express ourselves, and also it's an incredible way for us to disseminate the message of the Holy Quran and the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When we speak about our children, very quickly, like in anything, we start thinking about others. Us ourselves, we are thinking about our children, and sometimes we may think about other people's children, that why that person's child is not correct and he's not raising his kid correctly. In the ayah that I recited, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, He mentions to the believers, Qu anfusakum. First of all, look at yourself. Actually, the solution and the problem lies in us. Children are innocent. Allah Ta'ala has, no matter, of course, according to how young they are, if they're very young and they are not what we call baligh, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not even made them mukallaf. They are not responsible for their salat and wudu, and they don't have to wake up for tahajjud, and if they're a little girl, they don't have to wear niqab and hijab and all these things. They're not even responsible, because their minds have not generated yet to such an extent that they can make right decisions and understand what these rules and laws are for. So these small children that we have, they are basically under us. We are responsible for them. And children who get older also, because they are living under us, they are eating our food, we are paying for their living. So we have a very great authority over them, and also we know that they are looking to us to make the decisions for their future. So basically we are steering them, and we are leading them to whichever path we want them to go. So as a parent, most of us are parents and we are sitting here with this worry and fikr, we have a great responsibility on ourselves. And also this responsibility is such that the fikr and the worry cannot just be about my child, but first of all it has to be about us. Because if we want something for our child, children are smart. If we want something for our child, but yet that thing is not within us, and not everything we want our child we want for ourselves, or for example the deen of Allah Ta'ala. If we want the deen of Allah Ta'ala for our children, but that deen of Allah Ta'ala is not in us, then the child will detect the hypocrisy and the inconsistency and the wrong in us when we are telling our child to do this but we are not doing it. The child will pick it up right away. Children, they are always looking and they are always investigating and they are always, because there's many times it's the first time they are experiencing something, or the second or third, they're always learning. So children are looking at us. That's why Allah Ta'ala says, "Qu anfusakum," that first think about yourself. If we have this mind frame that we don't think that the izzah and the honor for our children is in the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we're lost already. There's no way we can transfer that to our children. It just becomes lip service. We're just going to be telling our children, but they won't listen to us like many times the case is. So first of all, we have to look at ourselves. Islah al-nafs. We have to make sure that we ourselves are preparing ourselves for the akhirah, and we ourselves are becoming role models for our children. Sometimes we tell the children, don't watch cartoon and don't watch the phone so much. But now these days the father's watching the phone more than the child. The child says that. Sometimes in the parent-teacher meeting I'll tell the father that the son says he's watching the phone all the time, and inshallah we'll fix that. No, don't worry, we'll fix it. Very quickly he wants to change the subject. Because he doesn't want the kid to say, hey, talk to my father also. He's got the Netflix account also. He's also watching his movies and watching his news all the time, or watching his things all the time. So that's why we can't have the hypocrisy. It's very important that we fix ourselves first. Now this doesn't mean that in deen it's not like that we fix ourselves, then we go to our children, then we go to our family. This also is a trick from shaitan. That let me fix myself, let me become Junaid Baghdadi, let me get my full nisbat with Allah Ta'ala, then I'll work on my family. No, that's not it. It's simultaneous, it's synchronized, it's an effort that you are learning also, and right away you're teaching, and also by the way, also with your hidayat, you also bring your family onto it also. That's why Allah Ta'ala says, وَأَهْلِيكُمْ نَارًا, that save yourself and your family. And in the Arabic language, if it was to save ourselves and then the family, Allah Ta'ala would have said, ثُمَّ أَهْلِيكُمْ. The Arabic language is like this, it holds different meanings to different words. So if that was the case, Allah Ta'ala would have said, قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ ثُمَّ أَهْلِيكُمْ. But Allah Ta'ala didn't say that. وَأَهْلِيكُمْ. It means that save yourself, and at the same time, save your children and save your family. Same time. The reason why we have to save ourselves, and the reason why we have to make a fikr on ourselves, is because we are going to be steering their future. We are in charge of them, especially with children. We are the ones who are going to put them in the school. We are the ones who are going to feed them a certain food. We are the ones who are going to furnish our houses and make our environment at home. If a TV comes in the house, it's our decision, not the children's. If a video game system is bought, it's our decision, not the children's at the end of the day. So every single thing is our decision. So it's very important that we steer the children in the right way. And the only way we can steer the children in the right way is whether our mind frame and our iman and our fikr and worry and our aqidah and our belief is right about the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It has to be right. One of the more common complaints at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam about those who were called the munafiqeen. Very scary scenario to be a munafiq. May Allah Ta'ala protect us. And there should always be a fear. We should not sit here and say that munafiqeen were at the time of Rasulullah. I'm not a munafiq. Some of the tabi'een say we met up to 18 sahaba. And the salient quality in all of them, meaning every single sahabi had this quality that they were afraid that they were munafiq. They had a fear that maybe I'm a hypocrite, maybe my iman is not true. I'm doing things that are a little bit hypocritical. Sometimes I'm in the masjid and I'm praying not the same way I'm praying at home. Sometimes my akhlaq with my friends is beautiful, and when I'm going in jama'ah 3 days, alhamdulillah, I'm washing pots and I'm putting out dasal khans. But when I get home, if you ask my wife, did he ever wash a pot in the house? Wash a pot. What about his socks? Forget about the pot. So these certain small things that are not nifaq, that we now have a problem in our aqidah, but things that are hypocritical. They are not consistent. So the Sahaba would feel very scared about this. They would feel a lot of fear about this. And one of the main complaints about the munafiqeen was that they had a thought in their mind that the izzah and that the honor is not in deen, it's in other things. They didn't feel that Rasulullah, what he was bringing, was the solution. They didn't feel that the Sahaba who were following him every step of the way, that was what had to be done in life. They made fun of it. When Rasulullah would collect money, they made fun of the poor people when they gave money. And they would say that this is a waste of time, what are you doing? And any opportunity they had and they felt that ghalba, that they could overpower the Sahaba and Rasulullah, they would take that time to be very aggressive, and they would scream at Rasulullah, they would do these types of things. But the main thing and the reason why behind it was that they had this in their heart, that al-izzatu, that the izzah is not for Allah, and it's not for His Rasul, and it's not for the believers. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned to them, وَلِلَّهِ الْعِزَّةُ وَلِرَسُولِهِ وَلِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. That the izzah or munafiqeen is for Allah, it's for Rasul, and it's all for the believers. The izzah in this world and in the hereafter. The izzah in the hereafter, there's usually not a very big argument about that on our side. But what's lurking in our heart sometimes is that we don't feel that is there really izzah in the deen in this world. If my son fully follows the sunnahs of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, if my child gets close to the deen, will he have izzah and honor in this world? Some of us, there are a little bit doubts lingering in our hearts about this. That's why we keep a had, or we keep a limit to the deen that our children follow. That's too much. Don't go too far. So this we have to fix within ourselves. We have to make the decision that the izzah is in deen, and Allah Ta'ala will give honor to our children. Honor to our children will come to the sunnahs of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And honor is for those who believe in Allah Ta'ala. Because in this world, izzah and honor, it usually is disguised. In this, especially in America where we live, honor these days is a diploma. It's a good job. It's a nice car. It's a house. 25 years old, you buy a house. Oh. Even the Hafiz of the Quran is not respected so much. You're 25 and you bought a house, right? It's paid for. Oh, no. Great person. You're very great. You paid for your house already. So the priorities is wrong now. Now, of course, we're not against diplomas. We're not against buying houses and having a nice car. These things, of course, make it much easier for us to operate in this country. And these are things we should have. But to completely have in our heart that that's what honor is, even for a non-Muslim, honor is not only in that. Half of the things that we have in front of us are given to us by people who don't have a college education. This building that was built, the walls that were put up in the sheetrock and that chandelier was put up was probably put up by a guy who doesn't have a college education. The carpet was put down here. Probably he didn't have Probably he didn't have a PhD. But the carpet's important. Who's going to put down the carpet? Movie Saab's not going to put down the carpet. Right? When he can't get the lawyer to put down the carpet, Dr. Saab's not going to put down the carpet. Somebody needs to put down carpets. Usually those people, they're not college educated. And that's not bad. It's an important person in the community. Person who lays down tiles, right? Cuts wood, fixes cars. All these people are very important people. Just sanitation worker. Let the sanitation department stop for 1 week. And believe me, everybody, educated and non-educated, will be at their feet begging them that please, still do your job. We need you. But look at the mind frame. The sanitation worker is so disrespected. But his job is not that honorable, but it's important. It's an important job. So that whole mind frame that my child must become this, it must become that, it must become that, that's important. But we must understand that we have to keep the izzah of deen as the most priority thing. If our children become the best of doctors, and if our children become the best lawyer in America, and our children become the best in their field, and they're making 6 digits, and they have a beautiful car and house, and they bought you a house also. If they've done all this, but they don't have the deen of Allah Ta'ala, he cannot recite Surah Fatiha correctly. He doesn't know the fara'id of deen. His salat sometimes is prayed, sometimes it's not. He doesn't know to respect the imam of the masjid. He doesn't even come to the masjid that much. You failed. As a parent, you've actually led him towards the fire. Because you've given him the priority of dunya over deen. And which was not a need anyway. We can get the dunya and have the deen also. It's not like that. It's not like, oh, let me get the deen and I can't get some. No, you can get. Of course, you can't get as much. But you can get enough that, alhamdulillah, you're very happy and very comfortable. But in the other way, if our children, for some reason, did not become the best in college, for some reason, and a sincere reason, let's say, and he didn't get the good education as good as but he became a regular person. He's making his money, he's helping you, he respects his mother, he's praying his 5 times salah, he knows about the deen of Allah Ta'ala, he's a muttaqi, he fears Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Believe me, that parent is more successful. Done their job much more. Because you've set up the eternal. How can you give preference over that which is not eternal to eternal? And we are people of Iman. We're not sitting here and there's non-Muslims here that they can't understand the aspect. We are people who believe in Allah Ta'ala, and we know that the next world, that is the real life. وَإِنَّ الْآخِرَةَ لَهِيَ الْحَيَوَانِ لَوْ كَانُوا يَعْلَمُونَ. Allah Ta'ala says the next world, it's the real life. This world is actually just, it's real, but it's not a reality compared to the Akhirah. Not a reality. It's like being in the womb of the mother. You know, they give an example and they say that if you were to give the child the ability to speak who's in the womb of the mother, and you told him that after 9 months you will come out of this stomach and you will go into a world that has trees and land and cars, colleges, and you'll have a father and a mother, and mention to them all the things of the akhir, of the dunya, so that child will say you're crazy. There's nothing like that. I live only in this small little, I don't know how big it is, but small little bubble here, my umbilical cord, and this cord is holding up my life and I'm getting food from that, and there's no way I'm going to start eating with my mouth. Why would I eat with my mouth? I have this cord here. There's no need to eat with my mouth. And I walk around, there's no walking, I swim all day. And he would not believe that it's reality. In the same way, in this world, we are like in the womb of our mother. This world is like a womb. When Allah Ta'ala tells us of the akhirah and tells us of the hereafter, then don't feel that it's doubtful. It will be incredible the hereafter. We just don't realize it here. So we have to give preference to the hereafter. Now in regards to our children, and how we're going to bring them onto this, the first step, of course, as I said, we have to come onto the deen. Now how we're going to come onto the deen, that's a long discussion. At least we should be making tawbah to Allah Ta'ala. And we should be asking Allah Ta'ala that, Ya Allah, you help me. A lot of times we feel we can do it. So you have to ask Allah Ta'ala to help you. And you have to ask Allah Ta'ala for the hikmah and the wisdom on how to raise our children. And it's not something that you can teach a class on it. It requires hikmah. And hikmah basically is to do the right thing. And in different times, doing the right thing will require doing different things. Raising a child requires hikmah, wisdom, quick thinking. You have to be witty. You have to know how to treat a child. And treating a child is all different stages. Well, I'll explain that to you. Treating the small child is not the same as treating a child who's a teenager. Treating a teenager is a little different than treating a child who's a little bit older, 18, 19. All are different. And sometimes we are putting them on one plate and we are treating them all the same. And what is that? Shayban, stupid, what are you doing? You don't listen, dummy, this, that. I was never like that with my mother. I was never like that with my father. And chances are probably we weren't like our mothers and fathers also. The kid can say that. I don't know if you're like your grandma and grandpa. I've seen them, they're pretty cool. He also is always screaming all the time. So we have to, priorities. The priorities have to be right. Now, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the hadith that I recited is a very important hadith. Because basically Allah ta'ala has given us a head start. When a child is born, he's born on fitrah. The child is innocent. And according to Imam Bukhari, fitrah means Islam. The child has Islam in him, meaning the child has tawheed. He's good, he's innocent. You just have to lead him towards the right way. An extension of this hadith, other hadith says that the two parents, they actually يُهَوِّدَانِهِ أو يُنَصِّرَانِهِ أو يُمَجِّسَانِهِ. It is the parents who make him into a Jew. It is the parents who make him into a Christian or make him into a fire worshipper. But actually that child is a Muslim. So this shows us that we can frame that child. We have to frame that child. Now, basically children, they go through 3 stages. One is the first 7 years, then the second 7 years, and the third 7 years. You have basically till 21 years old to get your message into your child. Till about 21. After 21, he ain't gonna listen to you. Because he's a man. He's not gonna listen. You can tell him this and that. If you didn't do your job, then it's finished, done. You might as well just come to the masjid, get your dhikr beads and make dua for him, because he's gonna do whatever he wants to do. He's 21 years old. 21-year-olds don't listen to parents. They're too old and out of date, and they know everything, so that's it. You have to equip them before that. Some even say it's the statement of Ibn Umar, but most say it's a statement of Sufyan Thawri. He used to say that basically the child's in three different parts. One is the first 7 years. And in the first 7 years, إِلْعَبْ مَعَهُمْ سَبَعًا. Play with them for 7 years. From 1 to 7, these are the golden times of a child. Beautiful times. Everybody enjoys that. And you're supposed to enjoy it. That's why he says that, some say that even Umar used to say this. For 7 years, play with them. Meaning, don't be that serious with them. They're children. If he's running around and joking and hanging off a tree branch, and if he's, not eating all of his food and jumping around, he's a child. You cannot, frame him into a sheikh. Once there were some children who were causing problems in his khanqa. He used to have the bayans like this, and they were running around. Like a small kid came before and coming here and coming around and this, that. So there were 2 kids who were doing that, and obviously it was causing a problem. And some people mentioned it to the father. So the father left the khanqa and came back after a few months. When he came back after a few months, those kids were like 2 soldiers. They were sitting in the shahud like this, and they were sitting in front of Ashraf Ali Tanvi. So Mawla Tanvi, he called the father and the kids into his room, and he brought the father in, and those 2 kids were sitting like this in front of Mawla Tanvi. So then he told the person that, where you used to come with your children? Where are those kids? Then he said, they're right here. He said, these are not kids, these are mashayikh, these are sheikhs. They're not children. They are supposed to run around and jump on my head and this, that, and grab my beard and take the book over. This is the children. So the first 7 years, it doesn't mean that we let our kids juggle knives. It doesn't mean that. But we should let them play and be free. Let them run around. They are children. Sometimes we don't let them be children. And we are very, it becomes, like, Fir'aun and Musa in the house. We are just screaming, and they are running around. Yes, we have to have a little bit of forbearance with them. I'm not going to go into parenting, deep parenting, but this is the usul in the first 7 years. Don't take it too seriously. You can take, you can make the qiyas and make the analogy of your own self. Are you the same person as you were when you were 7 years old? No, you're not. No, you're not. One of my brother-in-laws is a very, very pious man. His name is Muhammad Gul. He's an Afghan. Gul means flower. And I have a lot of respect for him, honor for him. He's a very beautiful man, mashallah. And one of the greatest ihsan he did to me because he let me marry into his family. I'm married to his sister. I always say people call me for bayan. People, mashallah, give me money. They hire me in madrasa. They give me the money. They let me teach kitabs. They'll give me food. But not many came and said, Shaykh, come marry our family, to our family. I'm originally from Puerto Rico. My mom and dad is not Muslim. My whole family is not Muslim. It takes a lot of sacrifice. But he did that. He was ready. He opened his door and said, this is my sister, you marry her. We want you in our family. I have great respect for him. And he was an incredibly bad child. Very bad behaved. He used to run, and they say in Afghanistan, he used to stay they had the Hindu Afghans that used to go to the temple, and he would be on top of the tree, and he'd make the mud balls, and when they'd walk by, he would throw the mud ball. So the child, now if you see him, he's first up right behind the Imam every day, and he's very wow, and he has the same clothes all the time, and the same scarf, very pious man, fully of Allah. Even when I went to California, one of my friends, he's a mufti, I won't say his name because you're taping this, I don't know where it goes. So he was a mufti, and he, when I went to his masjid in California, he gave a talk in his masjid. One older man came to me and he said, this mufti, he's our mufti now, alhamdulillah, he's giving khutbah. Even some people had some problems in the marriage and things like that. We went to him and he sorted it out, alhamdulillah. He's got so much hikmah and wisdom. But he is the same person that when he was a small kid in Ramadan, we were standing in the Tarawih and he brought the water gun to the masjid. And he came in back and he shot all of us. Shot everybody. Now he's our mufti, he's our he's the imam of the masjid, he's the leader of the community. So the point I'm trying to bring is that most likely your child, if he's 5 years, sometimes we're like, if he's like this when he's a kid, he'll be like that later. Yeah, of course, if you let the kid eat all day, he's probably going to be heavy when he gets older. If you let the kid disrespect everybody, yeah, but if he does just say something wrong and he plays around, he fights when he's a kid, that doesn't mean he's going to be a murderer when he grows up. Doesn't mean, because his first 7 years, we don't even remember when we were 7 years old most of the time. I can't remember when I was in 2nd, 3rd grade. There's some vivid memories. Sometimes someone will mention something and I'll say, really, I did that? My mom will say, you remember when you did that? I don't remember when I did that. She remembers. I really did that. I was that bad? Yes. And so, the first 7 years, enjoy them. Enjoy them, have fun with them. And the ta'aleem and the teaching of them, it is what we call zimnan. It's by the way. It's by the way. Come sit here, and then when he's happy, you can tell him about some story, and you can have him go with you to the masjid once in a while, but you don't bring him for fajr. You don't wake him up for tahajjud. You don't have to put the niqab on the young girl. One time, one of the ulama, they came to one of our ustad's house, Mawlana Hassan Dokra. He came to America this year, inshallah. He'll come to New York next year, inshallah, we'll invite him. And the alim came in with the girl. The little girl was about 8, 9 years old, she had the niqab on. So Ustad said, what is this? She said, how old are you? 8 years old. Why is she wearing niqab? He said, we put on so she can be, He said if she wears niqab now, she'll never know who she is. She won't even know who she is. 8 years old, she's wearing niqab. It's not the age for it. So what I'm trying to say is that we have to, each kid, we have to make sure that we treat them the right way. His first 7 years, Hazrat Umar, not me, Umar used to say, play with them. Don't take it too seriously. Now the second 7 years is important. Now when he gets 7 to 14, these are the years when the child now is taking everything. The child is understanding. This is where we have to start teaching the other to them. We can't leave them. And unfortunately, this is the time where shaitan overtakes us, and this is when we leave the kid. We leave them. We let them play and let them do this, and he's 9 years old, 10 years old, now he's beating up the kid in the parking lot, and leave him, he's a kid. No, he's not a kid anymore. Now he's almost close to becoming an adult in Islam. Maybe somebody should say by the time they're 10 years old, start making them pray their salah. If they don't, then hit them. Don't beat them like a dog. But just, you hit them and you make sure that they know that they're supposed to pray their salah. So from 7 to 14 is the time to teach them adab. It's the time to teach them how to be a good Muslim. What does adab mean? How do you eat? How do you sleep as a Muslim? How do you walk as a Muslim? How do you talk? How do you talk to elders? We should be teaching our kids this. There should be some time that we spend with our children, teaching them and giving them nasiha. We know the Luqman or the Luqman Hakim, who's mentioned in the Quran. And there's ikhtilaf of Mufassirin. Who was he exactly? I'm not going to go into it. But he was one of the normal men who are mentioned in the Quran. And mentioned because of his hikmah. لَقَدْ آتَيْنَا لُقْمَانَ الْحِكْمَةِ. We gave him the hikmah. And one of the first things that is mentioned about him is that he gave advices to his son. This is one of the things that he did was all maqami hikmah. It was all the places and showing us how to be hakim, how to be a wise man. And one of the first things that he did, of course, the first thing I was told to him, anishkur billah, shukr, make sure you're grateful to Allah Ta'ala. And whoever does shukr, فَإِنَّمَا يَشْكُرُ لِنَفْسِهِ, it will benefit yourself. And whoever does kufr, then Allah Ta'ala will punish that person. وَإِذْ قَالَ لُقْمَانَ لِإِبْنِهِ وَهُوَ يَعِظُهُ. After that, Allah Ta'ala goes right to one of the first things about hikmah. It could have been that when Luqman spoke to the leader of the nation. It could have been when Luqman came to the masjid, when Luqman gave bayan to the people. No, it was Luqman radiallahu anhu al-Hakim, the one who was Hakim, the one who was the wise man, who Allah Ta'ala devoted a whole ruku, showing his hikmah. What's the first thing? Him talking to his son. إِذْ قَالَ لُقْمَانُ لِإِبْنِهِ وَهُوَ يَعِظُهُ. And Allah Ta'ala, when he said to his son, and he wasn't just talking to his son, as we talk to them, go clean your room, go do this, go do that, come with me, help your mother. No. وَهُوَ يَعِظُهُ. He was advising him. And this is what lacks in our life with our children. We don't advise our children. Very rarely do we sit down with our children, they sit down, and we tell them something of the wisdom. Do you know why we pray salah? Do you know why we do this? Do you know why we do that? And simple things, not very high level. What do you tell the son? Ya bunayya la tushrik billah. Don't do shirk. Did we ever tell our children this? Don't associate any partners with Allah. This is a very important thing that our children should know in their whole lives, that they should not do any shirk with Allah Ta'ala. And he told them about some of the simple things of aqaid. Ta'lim al-aqaid is very important for our children. It should come from us. The maktab can't do it. They don't have time. And the schools, the Islamic schools, it's our job as a parent that we are supposed to sometimes advise our children like this. That please, we have to believe in Allah Ta'ala. We have to pray salah. And with the child, you have to be tricky with him. You can't just give him advice and not give him something else. Many a time what happens, you must trick him. You must trick the child. Some of the children are here, so I don't want to go too deep into it. And the fathers try using it. That's like Shaykh told you to do that. We have to set goals for the children. The same way in school, if the child gets a good grade, so we give him some gift. The same way, set goals for your children. This right here, this is a little bit of the Imaniyat belief in Malaika. In English, don't have to know all the Arabic of it. Just the English, 5 times Salah. If you learn this Salah this week, I'm going to teach you. Then I'll buy you a bicycle. I'll buy you this, I'll buy you that. And like this, it instills the enthusiasm for the child to do it. When we're older, of course, the child doesn't know about Jannah. He's not going to do it because he's going to get rewards in the Akhirah. No, that's us. When we get older, we'll do that. But what the child wants to see is, like, something, $20 or something like that. I can go buy some candy or something. And he's learning it. And don't worry if he doesn't have a class right now. It will become a class, inshallah. It will later on become something. So with our children from 7 to 14, we have to teach them that. And it's very important that we do this because why? Most of our children, as the brother was saying, are going to school. Now, if our kids are going to normal schools and public schools, we have to realize something very, very logical, and we have to know. First of all, everything in school isn't evil. Everything in school is not evil. It's not that they're teaching shaitaniyat there and things like that. It's not like that. If a mosque can be in a Masonic temple, then inshallah there can be some good schools also. So the schools, there are many good things that they teach there. There are many good things that sometimes are lacking in our Islamic schools also. Usually the kids, they learn the normal adab and normal etiquettes and politeness. Hi, how are you? I'm fine. These type of things, which sometimes lack in the Muslim schools. When you ask the kid, hi, how are you in the Muslim school? I'm alright. And he runs away. These things sometimes are lacking in our Islamic schools. Mothers also like, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam, how are you? Open your mouth, I'm alright. Open your mouth. This is the way they respond. But if you go to school, sometimes a small non-Muslim kid comes to me, hi, how are you? I'm fine. How are you? How's everything? It's nice to meet you. You become very happy. Look at this young kid. He's so nice. In school, they emphasize on these things. They emphasize, stay in line. And you go to Muslim school, sometimes the kids, they're running around. No line. Lady's busy fixing her scarf, the teacher's busy fixing her scarf, and the kids all over the place and things like this. It happens. They're lacking. We have to learn. Why? Because most of the time in the Muslim schools, unfortunately, we are not trained. We don't have the funds to train the teachers. But the teachers at school, many times they are trained in child psychology, they have training classes, they have all these different things. So there are many things that are good in the schools. The education is very good, they'll teach your kid math very well, English very well, they'll equip them with many of the things that they need to operate in this country. Very good, they'll teach them. But the only problem that in school is that because of their zihniyat, because of the mind frame that they have. What is the mind frame? That our minds are going to sort out every problem that comes to us. And the wahi and the revelation of Allah Ta'ala and religion has nothing to do with it. This is the mind frame of the school. So because they have that mind frame, there's going to be many things that they're going to make mistake on. Because they've taken Allah and the deen out of the picture. They've taken it. And the mind is such, and the mind frame, of course, here in America is liberal, freedom. And freedom, what limits does it have? Where's the freedom going to extend to? It's been breaking down everything for the last 20, 30 years. And now almost the breakdown is complete. Because now they want to tell your child, and they want to tell us also, that a man marrying a man is completely the same as a man marrying a woman. This is one of the main things in Thailand they're trying to push also. Homosexuality and these type of things. And as religion is leaving America, because now America is not a religious country anymore. It's not a religious country. Many years ago it was. Can you imagine when a hurricane would come in America many years ago, Abraham Lincoln, the president, he would say that this hurricane's coming because of the slavery that we did with the blacks. He would say that. And people would say, oh yes, yes. And they'd go to the church and they'd pray that God save us from the hurricane. If Obama, and he's a black man also, if he came out and said that type of thing, or if he said that the hurricane or the earthquake that came is the punishment of God, they would say, Babu, what do you think this is, the golden ages? You think this is the age of Moses and stuff like that? That stuff don't happen anymore. So there's no tawbah. Who did it? Mother Nature. Who's Mother Nature? Nobody knows who the hell she is. All we know is she got major problems and she's shaking the earth every once in a while. So nobody knows why it's happening. What's the solution? What are we supposed to do after an earthquake? Nobody knows. It's Mother Nature. Let's build the buildings back up. We are a strong nation. We'll come back. Hey, you'll come back. What about the guy who died under the building? he can't come back. It's easy for you to say that. You survived the earthquake. You survived the tsunami. You survived everything. We're strong. We'll make it back. What about the guy underneath in the water? He's not making it back. We know you're going to make it because you survived it. So, religion is something that's totally gone into school. And the mind frame is such that we are the ones who can solve everything. And in Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and many Mufassirin say, it was actually the statement of Yusuf alayhi salam. So we can imagine a Nabi saying this. وَمَا أُبَرِّئُ نَفْسِي إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ إِلَّا مَنْ رَحِمَ رَبِّي. Allah Ta'ala, beautifully Yusuf alayhi salam says, that I don't say that myself and my mind and myself, that I am a very pious and very religious and a very innocent person. I don't say that. I don't say I'm pure and innocent. In the nafs la'ammaratun bisu. The inner self, it is always telling us to do evil. This is the ta'lim of deen. That you have to be careful. Insan, human being himself, has to be careful that evil is not leading him towards things. Since the mind says now that homosexuality, it's liberal, right? Freedom, complete freedom. So complete freedom, that would entail also that a man can marry a man, and complete freedom. This is wrong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through what He has said, this is wrong. This is wrong, it's not natural. But in the school, because of that mind frame, so with all the good things that are in the school, these bad things will accompany it. There's no religion there. They're not even allowed to. I don't think kids even pray in school anymore, right? There's no prayers in school. Is there prayer in school in the morning? When we were little kids, we would have to pray. You'd get up in the morning, you'd do a prayer. Now it's what? What did it say? It's insulting to pray. Who are you going to pray to? You know, what are you going to do? So now they don't pray. So these are the type of problems that we have in the school. And these are the clashes that are completely with deen also. Because with the liberal mind frame, there's no separation of the sexes. There's no intention for that also. There's a mind frame, of course, and slogans in school that are taught that be whatever you want. In Islam, we don't say you can be whatever you want. So there's going to be a lot of clashes with our children and what they believe and what they are doing. Now, the only way that we are going to be able to combat that is to establish an environment in our houses. Of course, the first thing is that take them out of the school and put them in Islamic school. I know everyone's not going to do that. And quite frankly, sometimes our Islamic schools can't accommodate for all the kids in the community anyway. We don't have enough teachers, we don't have enough funding. It's a very difficult thing to fund a Muslim school. It takes a lot of funding. Each teacher has to get paid. Books, we don't have usually government help. So sometimes very challenging. So many people are going to send their kids to school. So I'm talking about sending our kids to school. Don't be naive. You know what naive is? Everything's fine, it's okay. Alhamdulillah, everything in school. You're not there. You're not experiencing 8 hours in the school. You don't meet up with the bully in his class or her class. Right? If she's wearing hijab and a scarf, you didn't, experience the dirty look she got from one of the teachers. You didn't experience the joke that was said to your daughter in the playground or your son in the playground. Don't be naive. Don't think that everything is perfect in school just because it's school and just because they're getting educated. It's not like that. When they come home, we have to meet up with them. It's like equilibrium. It's like we have to meet up and we have to try to, diminish what they got in school, because in that 8 hours, what they got in school was education, yes, but there's a whole bunch of other garbage that they got in there that we have to clean, and we have to clean it in our houses. And the only way we're going to do that is to build an environment in our house. Believe me, there are many kids who are making it in school. There are many kids who have good mind frames. Why? Because there's a ta'aleem, something going on in the house. And the parents, most of the parents are not naive. They are not leaving the kid. You can't leave your kids. Just leave them. They go to school, they come home, they eat. Then they go to their room, they watch whatever they want to watch. And the only time you really talk to them or take care of them is when they have to go to sleep. This can't happen. Rasulullah has mentioned, كُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. Nabi Sallam could have used a lot of words. He could have just said, you are responsible. You're responsible. Muntadir, intiram. He could have used that word. But he used the word ra'i. And ra'i is a sheep herder. Sheep herder. Ra'i. Kullukum ra'i. You're all sheep herders. And you have a herd in front of you. And we know sheep herding ain't no easy job. It's not an easy job. Every Nabi of Allah Ta'ala was a ra'i, was a sheep herder. Why? It humbled him. Because he had to stay busy. He had to go and make sure one animal went away, bring that animal back. Another, go back in the other. Once the animal goes that way, you gotta bring the other one around. And one animal's over there. Bring out 4 more animals went over there. All the time you are now busy trying to make sure and keep them all together and on the straight path. This is why Nabi Sallam has used the word ra'i, sheep herder. We cannot be lazy with the tarbiyat of our children. We can't be lazy. We have to pay attention to it. And basically when the school year starts, our time, when we come home from work, is 5 to about 9:30, 9 o'clock. That's our time. And of course the weekends. This is the time we have. It's 4 hours. We cannot do tarbiyat of our children while we're at work, and we can't help them while they're at school. All we have is a certain amount of time. We can do that, can't we? We can make some type of schedule that in this 4 hours, even not the whole time, but this is how I'm going to work out things with my child. I'm not just going to go home and eat and relax and check out what's going on in Bangladesh and in Afghanistan and Syria. And everybody has we know how to solve the problems of Bangladesh and Syria. Everybody will sit on dinner and everybody's got the hal. Everybody knows. This is what's going on more. If I was there, I'd do like this. And we eat. And we all can solve the problems to all the countries in the world. But when we look at our own son, we can't solve his problem. He's only 4 feet tall. And we can't sort him out. We tell him, Bacha, bring me the spoon. Bring me the spoon. And he's gone out the door with his basketball. Spoon. Then you get up and get your own spoon. Now you can sort out the problems of Bangladesh and Pakistan, but you can't get your son to get your spoon. Now eating with your hands, majbooran, you can't get the spoon. You're eating ice cream and you're licking it because you don't have a spoon. Your son didn't get you one. So those things are going to happen there. If we're spending 2-3 hours on the news and on the internet and this, that, and that, people had been getting killed. When we were a kid, people were getting killed. They were getting raped. Blacks were killing whites. Whites were killing blacks. Cops were getting killed. Wars were happening. Tanks are being made. Planes are blowing up. It was happening in the 80s. It's happening in the 90s. It's happening now also. And each time I was there, everyone was screaming, oh my God, it's the worst time ever. It's never going to get worse than this. That's the world. You can't control it. It's going to happen. What you can control is in your house. Those few hours that you have, think about it. I'm not going to give you what to do. What I'm telling you is go home, make dua to Allah. Think yourself. Many of you are businessmen. You're running businesses. You are engineers. You're building buildings. You think you can't come up with a plan that how I'm going to get my child closer to good habits, closer to Deen? You can do it, but it's just we're not making the wajib. We're not thinking about it. Ghafla. We've just forgot about it. It's my child. It's you. And Shaitan, quite frankly, loves to do that. He'd rather get us involved in something else than to work with our children. He'd get us involved in it. Go ahead, do that. And he knows that later on, this is the things that are going to get us depressed. So the child who's from 7 to 14, adib. Teach him adab. Even tell him to respect his teachers at school. We should not tolerate disrespect of even the non-Muslim teacher. This is an usul and deen that our children are supposed to respect anyone who teaches them. We cannot tolerate disrespect when the child, when the Mrs. Catman calls and tells you that your child cursed me today, it should be taken serious. Very serious. Don't think in your mind she's kafir anyway, who cares? No. Not like this. This is very detrimental to your child. Your child should respect he should be the kid that's bringing. I remember I've talked to some two school teachers, and some of them have marveled on the adab of the Muslim child. Some say, I wish I had all Muslim children in my school, in my class. Some of them said. Some of them said, the Muslim is terrible. Oh, very bad. Some have said that also. But many of them, especially in those houses, alhamdulillah, where tarbiyat, the mother's taking care of that, there's some ta'aleem going on, there's some deen in the house, alhamdulillah, there's some time spent, there's some tawajjuh, there's some attention being done. So some of those parents, some of those teachers, they are impressed that when I come in the room, this kid, he stood up. The kid stood up for me. Usually when I come in, the kids start throwing paper and the wet tissue. They're throwing against the board. This kid, he respected me and he stood up. He brought me one teacher I remember told me, I couldn't believe it. He's such a cute kid. He told me, let me hold my books for you. She goes, I think my grandmother, they used to do like this with their children, with their teachers, not these children. So, adab, and when? 7 to 14. This is the time you have to, if you didn't do it then, it's going to be much more difficult to do it later. Now when the kid reaches 14, I'll finish on this, 14 to 21, saw him. And his friend. And this is the time usually where we start we break away from our children at this time, especially fathers and sons. Daughters, alhamdulillah, Allah Ta'ala has blessed them. Usually the daughter is good. The sons are the ones who are giving a lot of problems. The kids, the boys. And the 16 to 21, or the 14 to 21, this is the time where they become very annoying. They don't listen. They think that they can. Now, if you did your job from 1 to 7, and you did your job to 7 to 14, and now you're a father from 14 to 21 who is friends. You're not just your father. You're not just the father to your son. You are his friend. He can come to you with your. How many of our sons can come to us with their problems? They're scared of us. The father comes in, like the general has come, and there should be respect, of course. You should be able to get the fear of your child without even hitting him. This is the good father. Once you look at him, he should be shivering and ready to go to the bathroom. He should be scared like this, without hitting. If you're hitting your kid, all that stuff, then this is not. You can hit him. You can go to the next door neighbor and hit him, he'll be scared of you also. This is not the way to deal with people, hitting and striking people. This is not the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with children. Your children should respect you and honor you because you're a respectful person. They know that this is a man worth respect. Your child should have that in his heart. My father deserves respect. Not that he deserves respect because if I don't do it, that stick behind the closet, he's going to whack me in the head with it. That's not respect. Once he gets older, like one person was hitting his kid. Finally, his kid, 21 years old, he's lifting weights in the gym and stuff like this, and he did something wrong, and his father went to strike him, and he caught the hand of his father. He told him, not anymore. Not anymore. I will bust your, you know what. And the son can fight him. Father didn't know what to do. What's plan B? What's plan B? Nothing to do. I used to hit him, he listened. Now I don't know what else to do. Take hitting out of it. You don't hit kids. Saw him. He needs a friend. He needs someone who can advise him. He needs someone he can go to. Be his friend. I'm not saying this. Who's saying this? Umar radiallahu anhu. The person who the Sahaba used to shake in front of him. But this is how he was with his children. Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, what kind of kids he had? Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, over 1,000 hadith he related. He used to call him one of the most strongest, ardent followers of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the sunnahs. This was his son. And his sons, they knew these people were true people. May Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq. Like I said before, don't be naive about the schools. Make sure we know that if our children are in school, as much as good things are happening there are many bad things that are happening, bad things that, it's not intended. They're not intentionally doing bad things with your kids. It's not their intention. But these things in deen are evil. They are bad. And they are good in their eyes. They think it's small, frivolous. It's cute he has a girlfriend. No, it's not cute. It's zina. It's a very serious thing according to us. If their child doesn't know about how serious it is, and you haven't told him in the house, and he doesn't even know what zina is. Some Molvi Sahib is talking zina in the masjid and talking in the Jummah khutbah, and your son says, he's 18 years old, what's zina, father? You haven't done your job. You should cry when your son asks you that. Rawahul Bukhari, and your son comes, he's 17 years old, he says, what's Bukhari? You should cry when your son asks you things like this. These are things our children should know. And these are things that simply we can do in our household when we come, if we pay a little attention. We have to pay attention. Of course, if we can't do this, as the brother has said, there are some people in the community and the masjids who can help us do this. For example, sending your kid to maktab, the afternoon programs. This is very important. We send our kids to maktab. Many times we don't have the qualities to teach our kids Quran. We don't have the ability. So we send them to the ulama, let them learn Quran. The ulama also can do that tarbiyat. But don't think that this is the solution. It's not the solution. The maktab system is there so the child can get connection with the ulama, connection with the masjid, and learn how to read Quran correctly. He's got your son 2 hours a day. And those 2 hours are after 8 hours of school, after you finish homework, and you're also mixing those 2 hours with that and soccer practice also. He's coming Tuesday and Wednesday, Monday and Thursday, he can't come Quran class, he's got football practice. He's going to become a big football player. The kid is 110 pounds and he's skinny and he looks like the size of a toothpick, but now he's playing football. What football? He's not going to be a football player. He's 6'5", and when the kid comes, he's 12 years old and he's 6'3", then put him in football. If he's a young kid, then don't put him in football. Let him swim or something like that. Let him jog or something like this. Let him learn some karate or some fighting. He can defend himself when he gets older if somebody tries to mug him. But football was then he breaks his knee and then he's gone from the class and school, everything. So we should be careful with these type of things, the sporting activity. There's so much things in 1 hour we can't say it. May Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq. Remember these 3 things. If it's a small child, be happy with them, play with them, and the ta'aleem should be fun. Don't be too serious with them. The kid will get nafra and will get the hatred of them. If you're screaming at a 6-year-old, you're hitting him because he doesn't know his Quran sabak, chances are later on he's not going to learn Quran. He's not going to like it. The next 7 years, make sure we teach him the adab. Make sure when he's sitting on the sultan, he knows how to eat. You don't go pick up all the plates and the wife pick up all the plates. The daughters and sons should learn how to pick up the plates. They should learn how to wash the dishes. They should know how to clean a dustpan. They should know how to enter the house. Kids should not just come in and walk in. No. Go back out the house. Go downstairs. Close the door. Ring the bell again. Do that 6, 7 times with your kid. You'll see your kid will say Assalamu alaikum. It's tiring. Go back outside. Go again. They come in and you don't give salam? What's wrong with you? What are you, a dog? You don't give salam? And the kid goes, and that's it, that's all it is. No, come back. Go downstairs. And then after that, when the kid understands you, bring him. Listen, I love you. I'm not doing this to hurt you, but this is the way that we have to do things. When you get older, you'll understand something. Is it very hard what I'm asking you? It's $10, inshallah. Do this, okay? You do this, inshallah. When you do these things, I get happy. When I get happy, I give you money. You see your kid come with a big turban next day. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu wa maghfiratuh. Ya Abi. He will say the thing. Then I thought it was my $10. And then you tell him, not every time. Then you get it, not every time. No. Tomorrow you have to do like this, then we'll see. So you have to work with the child. You have to use your brains. You guys are businessmen. You're running businesses and you're making cars and all this stuff. You can make your child, inshallah. You can do it. Just ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and give me hikmah. We always ask Allah, and then after that Allah will help us, inshallah. And then we do it, Allah will guide us, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair wa afiq wa alhamdulillah.